listening to the Arc Junkies Podcast, helping you make every weld better than your last with each episode. And now your host, Jason Becker.
All right, so we're here at the KWI Welding Competition up here in, where exactly are we at?
So we're Flemingsburg, Kentucky. We're northeastern Kentucky. We're about an hour south of Cincinnati and an hour northeast of Lexington.
Okay, and then how many times have you ran this competition, Ashley?
So this is our third year to put this competition on, and I think it's our best year ever.
No, it's definitely awesome. I mean, you guys, we were talking before the podcast, you have everything set up. It's like a well-oiled machine that you guys got going on here, and the school is awesome. This is the first time I've actually seen it in person. I see a lot of what you guys do on Instagram. So to see it in person I mean, you guys have a really nice setup. And then the curriculum that you guys go through. Tell me a little bit about that, because I know when we talked with you and Bobby before, we kind of went through some of that. But like, tell the listeners like what all you guys are teaching. What certifications are the students getting when they come out?
All right, so students in our 6-month pipe welding program are going to have flux core certification on 1-inch vertical and overhead, stick weld certification on 1-inch vertical and overhead, 3 monster coupons, which is the 5/8 wall, 2 3/4 tube. That first one is a TIG root and hot pass with 7018 fill out. The second one is 6010 with 7018 out. And that third monster is stainless steel TIG wire the whole way out. The 6th and final certification, so to speak, is the stainless steel Schedule 10 certification welded with 308 TIG wire. When I say so to speak, if a student excels, then that student can get as many certifications they want without an additional cost.
Nice. And then you guys have, you provide other certifications as well, because you guys go through fall protection, OSHA. Like, tell us a little bit about that, because welding, like a lot of people, they get hung up on the welding aspect, but to get out there and perform the work safely on a job site, there's some other information that you need.
Right, so we want to make you the complete welder with all your certs, but we want to make you a complete employee with everything industry's looking for. So all of our grads are trained through NCCER, so they'll have training not only in welding, but in boiler making and in pipe fitting. Through NCCCO, they'll have the opportunity to earn crane signal person and rigger certifications. We do OSHA 30, we do MSHA 24, we do basic first aid CPR certifications. So it's a well-rounded employee coming right in out of the gate.
And you guys knock all this out in 6 months.
Yeah, it's unreal that we can put all this into a 6-month program, and it's a commitment on the staff to make sure we're following everything, and it's a commitment on the student to make sure that they're here to get all they can.
And it's a full-time workload. I mean, what's the schedule look like for a student coming through the program?
So it's an 8-hour day, 5 days a week. For 3 months, they're going to spend an hour in the classroom, 7 hours in the shop, and for the other 3 months of their program, they're going to spend the full 8 hours in the shop.
Man, and you guys have a day shift and a night shift right now, right?
Yeah, right now we're running 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., and we're running 2 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Man, and then you guys have students coming from all over the U.S. to take this program.
Yeah, that's right. We've hit about 40 states from one end of the country, north to south, all the way to the other, and students are traveling back out to work in all these different states too.
And that's one thing interesting is Allen, who's with us today, he heard about Kentucky Welding Institute on a podcast that we did, and tell us a little bit about, where you're from and why you chose KWI.
Yeah, so actually, I grew up in Connecticut, not from Alaska, but heard about you guys off a podcast, obviously your podcast, Jason. Originally seen some of the work you did off weld.com. I was trying to teach myself how to weld basics in my garage, and was using your platform off YouTube to try to learn. And then you kind of bridged out of weld.com just a little bit and took over the podcast for Jimmy and started following that because I liked your content off weld.com. So ended up hearing an episode about KWI through Ashley and Bobby. You did an interview with them and sounded like something I was into. It is really fast paced, just like Ashley said. You got to be able to put the work in. You got to be able to put some extra hours in if you want to excel. Just like Ashley was saying, you get those. Well, you can achieve those basic 6 certs, but then there's 24 to 25 additional that you can achieve, whether it be aluminum, super duplex, or anything like that. RMD stuff, which is kind of where the pipe world's going. Mm-hmm. But it was kind of crazy. I was up in Alaska and decided I'd make the commitment, come on down and see where it took me, and I have absolutely nothing bad to say about it.
What's your experience been so far with the program?
So I'm 5 months in, and it's fast paced to say the least. I mean, if you're willing to put the work in, you can really push ahead and get whatever you want out of it. It's, maybe not for everyone, because, if you don't have that positive attitude and willing to put the work in, you're going to struggle. It's fast. They're like Ashley said, there's an hour in the classroom, but that hour is kind of based on you doing a little homework and doing a little studying, especially if you've never been in a weld shop at all, never learned about safety or anything like that. It takes you some studying ahead of time, which they provide all that information for you. It's available to everybody 24 hours a day. It takes you to go out and get it, to, not feel so pressured to get through the program. Mm-hmm. Nothing that's not achievable. Just got to be able to put the work in.
It's just like everything else in life. And it's funny, like watching students come through different programs, especially, different ages. The moment it clicks when they're like, wow, you really, get what you put in, or, you get out of what you put in. And it's funny, kind of seeing some of that, especially with the younger generation coming up, like they don't have the work ethics, or
right.
they've never been shown that way. So, I mean, it's a good program, because, you're throwing them right into the fire day one. And like you said, it's very fast paced. So tell me a little bit about the study material that you guys provide ahead of time.
Okay. So as soon as a student enrolls with us, we log them into our Google Classroom, and it's basically the keys to the kingdom. They can see what class we're going to do tomorrow, next week. They can view instructor-led PowerPoints online. They can view their own PowerPoints. They can take practice quizzes. Everything that we teach, from welding, pipe fitting, rigging, they can watch live former students signal a real crane to learn some of those hand signals. They can see instructors teaching rigging components. So everything that we're going to do is really laid out in that Google Classroom platform. So when the student comes in on a Monday morning, they've looked at it a little bit, they know what's going on, and boom, they hear that instructor, give a quick PowerPoint. We take a quick quiz and hammer down. We're in the shop throwing some sparks.
Nice. And it's that quick. I mean, once they register with the program, how soon are they out in the shop welding?
Well, it really varies, because we start students every 2 weeks. So it's like an up and down curve as to when we're going to have availability or not. So you check your non-traditional students who have, waited a few months, or they're come from a different background and changed career. Typically those guys and gals are going to come in that, January, February, March range. But during that July, August, September, October range, man, it's full to the max here, because everybody's graduating high school and they want to get their education in. But at any given time when a student registers with us, hey, we start every 2 weeks. So if we've got a spot available, we're going to fill that booth.
And tell me a little bit about, you got some really cool stuff hanging on the wall outside the office here. First of all, you got the 100K wall. Tell me a little bit about that.
All right, so the 100K wall is for students who earn $100,000 in the first 12 months of graduation. And maybe it's a myth. Some people say, well, you can't do it. Well, you can.
There's a lot of hoods up on that wall
to
say otherwise.
And to hit that wall, it's got to be verifiable. We don't take your word for it. We're not going to take Allen's word for it when he hits the wall. And, in about 13 months from now, he'll make that for sure. We're going to have some verification, with some documents so that we prove it. Mm-hmm. So it's a good step. We've got guys out here that have never hit below $100,000 in the first year. But it's not achievable for everyone. Success isn't based on the dollar. Success isn't based on the number of certifications. We've had students who I've talked to before and say, well, how you doing on your money? It's like, man, I'm going to hit, $80,000 this year. And I was like, man, so you're not going to make the 100K? And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm making more than both my parents combined at $80,000. So it's right now a huge industry. The numbers on the money being paid out is going up. If you've got some skill and you're willing to get up off the couch, you can go to work.
Yeah. And now do you all help with job placement once the students complete the program? I mean, do you have a list of companies that you can refer them to, or companies that are actually linked up with you guys and say, hey, Ashley, you guys are cranking out, a great product. We need more. Yeah,
for sure. That starts while you're still in the classroom. So we'll build a resume. We'll teach you how to, go through search engines, and we'll bring contractors and companies in. So some various contractors, union and non-union alike, they'll come into the program about every 2 or 3 months and speak and recruit with our students. On site today, it's more than a competition. It's an opportunity. So we got 3 or 4 different contractors here that are willing to recruit students and say, this is what our organization can offer you after your 6 months at KWI. So, our job placement right now is running well over 90%. I think we're like a 93% at the current rate of job placement. So we're doing really good in that industry. And something that we do that goes right along with that is the 2 weeks of lifetime free brush up. So when Allen graduates a month from now, he may go out on his first job and 2 months later the outage is over or the shutdown's finished. His next job may be a totally different alloy or a totally different process. He can come back here free of charge and weld up and get prepared for that next weld test without any additional cost to him.
Wow. And you get 2 weeks.
2 weeks every year.
Okay.
And going back on the job placement, so that's not even, I don't even see it as an end of curriculum opportunity. So I actually had the opportunity about a month ago to go on a co-op. So it's where the school here, they may get a call from a contractor or staffing agency and might not be welding, but they'll put the word out to the students that if you're far enough ahead, you're not behind on any of the curriculum for the timeline that they've outlined. I actually got the opportunity to take 3 days off of school and actually go hit a job site. And I didn't do any welding, but got to see some of the millwright side of things, go see a steel mill, kind of get my feet wet and see what industry is all about, which the school pretty much hits, the nail on the head. All three. So I went to 2 different job sites, work for the same company. They're kind of like a subcontractor doing some maintenance and millwright work. And both sites I was on, huge heavy hitters on safety, huge heavy hitters on OSHA requirements and what all that entails for the contractor we were working for. And it's literally just like we're in the classroom. First thing we had to do, go see the safety guy, go get checked in, all that kind of stuff, have our pay set up. And it was just like we heard in the classroom. You get 3 months of that, like Ashley was saying, first 12 weeks. And the instructors will tell you, hey, like, make sure you have all your credentials on you, birth certificate, blank check, stuff like that, because when you're rotating out of jobs, it's fast paced. Like, I no sooner got the message from Ashley and I had to go take a drug test. I literally had to leave school early, go take a drug test. And then right after that, I got on the phone with a recruiter and they're like, all right, well, we need all your pay information so you get paid tomorrow and for this training that we're doing, and so on and so forth. So school does a really good job about not limiting the opportunity for only after school, but if they can get you out early, if you're, again, willing to put that work in and not be behind on anything, then they'll send you out while you're still in school.
And then, you guys got a lot of stuff that kind of emulates industry. You run the class like industry.
Yeah, we got a lot of simulators here. So, sure, there's some booth time. There has to be because welding is just
you got to develop those fundamentals.
Yeah, you got to get that hand-arm and hand-eye coordination down. But once a student advances, we can bring in refiner simulators. We can bring in heat exchanger simulators. We got mirror weld simulators. We got boiler tube, 4-post. So all kinds of different simulators that we can put in your booth or just outside your booth, or sometimes throw you outside in that environment. It's not always peaches and cream, as Allen said. There are certain days that we'll put caution tape across our aisle, and you can't raise up higher than 3 feet. So it simulates what it may be like to work or go through some confined space environments.
And then do you guys do confined space training as well?
Yeah, it's part of our OSHA training. We'll go through some areas on confined space and do some different things. As our school molds and chains, then we have different areas of our shop that we can use for different parts of different types of training.
Very cool. And then I noticed you have another board outside the door here, where the students are coming from and then, where they're going to work at. And it's you got little red and blue dots all over the place. Yeah. Just to kind of show, what states everybody's going to. So, how many states have you pulled students from to come through KWI?
I think we're over 40 states, around 40, 41, 42 maybe. We're somewhere in that 40 mark as to where we've pulled from. We're over, 2/3 of the Kentucky's 120 counties. So a lot of our students come from, that greater Ohio Valley region, West Virginia, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio. But we still reach across America. I think we've had, with Allen, was our 5th student from Alaska. We've had students work all the way as far into Alaska as you can get, all the way up north. Students have worked in Guam, Puerto Rico, and the Czech Republic. Students have worked in Hawaii. Students have came from Maine, working in Florida for companies like SpaceX and Starcon, and the unions across America, whether it's, the 250 in California or the Lucky 21 in New York City. It's a really open environment right now if you've got some skills. And Kentucky Welding Institute doesn't limit. We're not a union-based or a non-biased, going for one job opportunity. We are, hey, if you want to make some money, here's what's available. We'll let you talk to the folks, and you make the best decision for your family.
Yeah.
I think the best part about that is variety of instructors here, and who has been union, who has not. There's a mix of both, and they'll tell you the pros and cons of both. They're not afraid to, let you know the downfalls of either one. They're honest with you. They're usually not far along off their tools, or they're about to head out on them, which is like a great thing, because you get somebody that's like current in the industry or has recently been in the industry and know what's out there.
Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned instructors, Alan, because that's a really cool point. And we do have, members who've been in the union for 15 years, and Boilermakers, members who are 790, or instructors who are 798 members, who may be between ditches and they want to come in and teach and work a little bit. But one really cool thing about the instructors, if anybody's listening and they want to become an instructor at KWI, you got to run the gauntlet. So those 6 basic weld tests I just told you about, you better be prepared to come in and pass all 6, because if you can't, look for something else.
No, that makes a lot of sense too. I like the fact that you kind of rotate the instructors through, so they'll come in and teach for a little bit, and then they'll go get back on their tools for a while, and then they can come back and they're current and up to date with what's being taught or what's expected in the industry.
That is right. And, we tell our guys, we may have someone like Garrett, who was here with us for 3 years, and then he rotates back out in the industry. And when he comes back in a couple months, he's got to bring something new. So whatever it is that he's doing in the power plant or paper mill or refinery that he went to, or multiple jobs, he brings something in that we can put into our curriculum. And that's why our curriculum is advanced into exotic alloys like super duplex and copper nickel and those types of things, because we're doing them in the industry, and there's not a lot of schools that want to teach that type of stuff.
Yeah, it's very difficult to find a place where you can actually learn how to weld on exotics.
Right.
Yeah, I had Travis Fields on the podcast a while ago, and I was asking him where he trained. And it's a very kind of niche market, to find a place that you can actually learn how to do those skills.
Right.
So, Alan, you're month number 5 out of 6. What are you planning on doing in 4 weeks? Do you already know what type of industry you're going to get into? Have you already lined up with a contractor?
So I haven't lined anything yet up yet, but I'm looking essentially probably end of this week or next week. I want to get one or two more certs out. I'm working on my TIG out stainless, and then I'll do my Schedule 10 like Ashley was talking about. Those are right around the corner. I want to put out the most accurate resume. I don't want to lie on it, obviously. So I want to get out like at least a good looking one. So I want to knock those out so I'm not, lying about everything.
Yeah.
But get it. Then I'll just hit the computer and start applying places. I'm not pro union. I'm not against it. I'm a little older. I'm 30, so I'm not on my parents' insurance, so I got to figure something out.
Yeah.
Paying private's a little expensive.
It adds up pretty quick.
Yeah. But really, I could care less. I mean, I wouldn't even mind cutting myself short and getting a little less on the hour just so I can learn. If it looks like a place that I can really learn something, perfect a technique, or do something I've never done before, absolutely willing to do that just to do it.
Just to get the experience.
I see value in like a monetary increase, I guess, just in my personal growth as opposed to the wallet. Like I can sacrifice there just to be valuable down the road and demand a higher dollar. So I'll apply to places and see where I can get in and, to go from there.
Yeah. That's one of the things, like, when you talked about, not lying on a resume. I tell people all the time, whatever you put on that resume, that's fair game. You're putting that out to the contractor or the employer. You better be able to back everything up with documentation, or you be able to grab your tools and go out there and do it.
Yep. Right. Yeah. When we build the resumes for the student, for us too, it's important to check with the reference. Make sure that if you're putting down John Doe as your reference, you've called him and he's good with it. Because, hey, what if you haven't spoken to him in a year? He's going to throw you under the bus, and there you are. That contractor's not calling you back anymore.
Yeah, and that's another thing is, like, if you're going to list somebody as a reference, call them up and let them know that, hey, you might be getting a phone call.
Yeah, that's right.
Answer your phone.
Yeah. Yeah, and some people are they'll put different types of education as experience, and some people will count it and some people won't. So there are some schools that legitimately have work and students build projects and do things, and that's good. Legitimate experience in my opinion, but if you've been sitting in a classroom, then you got to be cautious as calling that as a work experience in whatever industry you're in.
So, Ashley, if somebody's interested in attending KWI, where can they go to get more information about the program? Do you guys do shop tours? Tell me about the sign-up process.
All right, so you can visit our website at kwi.us. You can actually take a tour on our website. So one of our staff members also dabbles in realty. So Miss Lindsay has created a virtual tour. You can walk around the shop. You can look into this office that we're in right now. You can look into a Miller booth or a Lincoln booth. If you want to come to a personal tour, we do those every other Monday, so you can just sign up for that free ticket online to buy that or come to that personal tour. So we normally have about 30 to 40 people every other Monday, and we talk about our certification package for an hour or so. We'll visit the shop, maybe run into some students off the cuff and say, why are you here? Why did you choose KWI? That sort of thing. We have an opportunity for housing here because now, let's face it, Flemingsburg is a small town where, population, 2,500, 3,000 people. So Kentucky Welding Institute owns about 6 or 8 different properties that we can house students in for a really low rate, and all your utilities and Wi-Fi is included. And we got a couple nearby campgrounds. So if you're a fellow like Allen that travels with his house, then that's an option for you as well, too.
Nice. Well, I appreciate y'all's time. Thanks for everything. I guess we'll get out here and check out the competition, see how everybody's stacking up.
Yeah, that's good. We're not too far from the results. Can't wait to announce some awards and give away some prizes.
It'll be a good time.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks once again for tuning into the podcast. I hope you all enjoyed this week's episode. Don't forget to check out the ARC Junkies website, arcjunkies.com, to stream all past and present episodes and pick up show merchandise. Hope you all have a great rest of your week. Stay safe out there, and until next time, make every weld better than your last.